Welcome back, everybody, to the Paul Rodriguez Show, coming out of Studio 44. It's a great day. It's Wednesday, February 3rd, National Signing Day for all the high school athletes from the past year. And tons of content going out on Recon Athletes platforms, as well as all the other Austin coverage platforms. And with that sound being there, back in the studio is producer James. How's your night last night, James?
It's good. It's good. Really good.
That's gonna happen, folks. No big deal. James is a professional. He knows what's going on.
Shut that off completely.
And but yeah, James, you were talking a little bit about high school recruiting, and you weren't that familiar. And I told him tonight, folks. I said, listen, if you have a question that's itching and you want to ask it, I go just hop right in and let it fly, because most likely the folks at home probably have the same kind of question. And then I told James too. I go, look, if I don't know the fucking answer, I'm just gonna say I don't know. That's just where we're gonna leave it. But to get things going, NFL Update on Twitter is reporting that Tampa Bay Buccaneer linebacker Levante David says Tom Brady saw one of his teammates after beating Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers crying after the NFC Championship game. And Brady went over him and it said, "What the fuck are you crying for? We have more work to do." GOAT status. I think that's just indicative, and that shows how the culture is changing, I think, with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and that Tom Brady's excellence is kind of unmatched, where people are happy for winning an NFC title, and Tom Brady's like, we're not happy with anything until we win a Super Bowl. With that kind of culture change, James, that was hard for me to kind of transition through. What do you think that says about the culture previously led by Bruce Arenas and Jameis Winston in last year's Buccaneers compared to this year's Buccaneers?
It shows, that they mean business. Of course, it's Tom Brady when you got
Business.
him. Yeah, when you got him at the helm, happy to be here. Tom Brady's not happy to be in the Super Bowl. He wants to win it.
Yeah, he wants the hardware, and I think a lot of debate over the national shows and some of the regional shows. For those who know, was it the Patriot way or was it Brady's way? I think that's something that people are going to continue to argue. I think moving forward, especially with Super Bowl week this week. I think, what are we out now? Sunday, Saturday, Friday, Thursday. We're about 5 days away, 4 days away. Excuse me. And I think it's going to be a hell of a game. Papa Romeo and I talked about it last night. Shout out Papa Romeo. About both sides. We kind of got a little animated. So if you didn't get to see that, after tonight's show, go back and watch yesterday's show, February 2nd, and you kind of get the lowdown on what we kind of talked about. But again, moving forward, today's show is primarily going to be about high school recruiting, mainly focusing on the football aspect of it and where a lot of these young people are going to school, who is going to those schools, and just the sheer volume of offers that were handed out today was astonishing. And there's going to be so many that I really can't get to right now. Excuse me, but I wanted everybody just to get as much shine as we could. And, since we're here in Studio 44, I wanted to give a big shout out to the quarterback, Jackie Edwards at Lockhart, who has signed his national letter of intent to play at Texas Wesleyan University. I know Jackie had a few offers coming into the 3rd today of February, and he shows an area in Fort Worth at Texas Wesleyan where I believe Caleb Jennings, who was a part of the team of last year's team in the 2019 season, is currently enrolled at. And their other running mate, Noah Garcia, the athlete, running back, spent time at tight end as well, just a versatile athlete who kind of play anywhere. I really think with his size, he could also play defense. Noah Garcia has committed to Hardin Simmons, #saddle up. And so for those two people to kind of move forward and represent Lockhart, #TLW, for those who don't know, because I had to learn also, is the Lockhart way. Shout out Coach Mabus for the information. with Noah and with Jackie moving forward, I think this is going to be the pedestal for a lot of the younger players who are coming up in the 22 and the 23 class who can get groomed as more and more coaches see value in Lockhart. They can kind of go there, get a good sense of the type of athletes that Mabus and his coaching staff are producing. And I know some social media that I saw this week, they're already training, I think, in the mornings at 6. And so for them to kind of get that jump is a good sign for them building a strong, cohesive program. But I wanted to make sure also, we should give that shine to Lockhart leading off the hour, but also many schools, especially West Texas A&M, Southern Nazarene University, a couple other schools I'm going to mention, UT Permian Basin, Hardin-Simmons, all those universities came in and captured talent out of the Austin area. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is get started and give a little bit of shine to those individuals, starting with West Texas A&M and who signed. And I'm going to try to get through as many names as possible, but I'm probably going to miss some. If I do, and you want to know everybody who went where, jump on Recon Athlete social medias at Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and you can see the whole content of who's going where and what schools. So just giving a quick shout out, Kyle Brown, the quarterback out of Vista Ridge, has signed his national letter of intent, as well as Daquan Donaldson out of the state semifinalist LBJ Jaguars in 4A Division I. That young man has got speed for days. I saw him playing against Corpus Christi Miller, who was another team that was probably just as talented and probably a little more disciplined than LBJ. But when they got on the field, I think the athleticism and the drive and the determination just jumped off the page for LBJ, and they just completely ran away with that game. It got a little close late just because, I think the game was well in hand at the time. But for them to kind of get on the board, I think get up early on the board was pivotal for the LBJ Jaguars. Moving forward, Carson Otworth out of Round Rock is also signed his national letter of intent to the West Texas Buffaloes, and it was cool to see him get that offer just because Carson is a really great defensive back in the secondary for the Round Rock Dragons, and for him to get locked up and get out to West Texas and Canyon, Texas, I think is going to be really helpful for him as well. I also want to give a shout out to Ty Dillon, his running mate, who is also in the secondary at the Round Rock Dragons. They're going to be playing ball together, hopefully, in the secondary as they're moving forward. A couple other notes for the West Texas Buffaloes quarterbacks. Stoney McGuire, who was previously at Lockhart, has also signed. And then the last quarterback out of Round Rock, Seth Ford, the 6'1", 6'2", 180, 195-pound quarterback, will be joining that very talented quarterback room in West Texas. So a plethora of talent for the Buffaloes to kind of garner and build a team as they move forward. I'm sure it's going to be fun. But let's transition. Let's move forward and go on to the other Division II power, the Texas A&M University Kingsville Javelinas. And we'll jump back into LBJ High School. Vontae Chef has also joined the Tamuk Javelinas. He's going to be a secondary member. He is also a member of that LBJ Jaguars state semifinalist. Jalen Mosley out of McNeil at McNeil High School is a very talented safety. He's going to shore up the back end of that defense for the Javelinas probably in a year to come. He may even contribute early as a freshman. Jason Gaines, the Bowie Bulldog receiver, is going to be the speedy talent that's surely going to give the offense as much speed and breakaway speed. This is a young man who can kind of take the top off a defense and give a quarterback, especially a big arm quarterback, as much time to get the ball out, because anything he can run under, that quarterback will probably have some trouble to get him the ball there. And rounding out the Texas A&M Kingsville Javelinas is Danny Davis, who was another member, played offense and defense, a pure athlete for the LBJ Jaguars, who were represented in the state semifinals in 4A Division I. Has also locked up and signed his commitment to the Kingsville Javelinas. So, James, kind of with all that being said, there's 6 more schools I can kind of talk about, and we'll probably move forward with them as we go forward in the second block. But with those names being kind of dropped, and seeing the schools like West Texas A&M, Texas A&M Kingsville, what is something that you see, and Lockhart as well, Lockhart with Texas Wesleyan and Fort Worth, and Hardin Simmons, you see all those schools. What is something that jumps off the page to you as you hear those names being dropped?
About the schools in general?
Well, just about the talent. You kind of see like Round Rock, they beat the power Lake Travis Cavaliers in the first round of the playoffs, in the bi-district round, which was unheard of. And so you have kids like Carson Otworth, Ty Dillon, Seth Ford, who were contributors and stars on that Round Rock Dragon teams, and now they're taking their talents to, you know, West Texas A&M. For you, when you hear those types of players and knowing what you see in the NFL, you know, do you think this is going to be a talent-rich area in Austin, or is this something that kind of should be par for the course?
No, it sounds, I mean, sky's always the limit for, you know, these young men. You know, I wish I can go back and, you know, change the course, but yeah, I mean, it's good. It's always exciting to see you know, kids from the area going to, you know, their future endeavors and all of that.
And I think it's also really cool because I talk about pipelines a lot, and a pipeline is when a school like a university comes in and can build the relationships with the coaching to get that lifeblood and recruiting of kids to their system. So you have Texas Wesleyan coming into Lockhart, and they're like, man, you had, you know, this great player in Caleb Jennings. You have a really good quarterback in Jackie Edwards. Who knows what you're going to have next year? And for that communication and for that relationship to be, you know, built, that trust to be built with that coaching staff and the community, I think that says a lot of good things, especially about Lockhart. And I think also for the kids in Round Rock, I think it's very, you know, substantial for them to get that recognition. And the other good thing for the Round Rock Dragons and Buffaloes is that they don't have to change their color scheme, and it's like Lockhart, they're maroon. One side note I wanted just to kind of just pick up real quick. I'm going to leave y'all off before we go to break. Our first break of the night, Nicholas Hall, who is a legacy. His father played at Kentucky and then in a few years in the NFL, who is currently a junior at Aikens High School, today received his third offer to Oklahoma State University. He's a 4-star rated athlete, offensive line, big kid. So just want to give a parting shout out for him and his family as we move forward. So give us about 4 or 5 minutes, take a break, bathroom break, water break, snack break, whatever you need to do. And we'll be back and we'll talk a little bit more about high school recruiting when we come back. See you in a minute. Welcome back, everybody. Hope your break was as eventful as mine. I'm looking at the comments. I know a couple of the buddies, the homies, the OGs were saying, why don't you stream on Facebook so I can talk in the comments? I'm like, why don't you just go to the comments on YouTube? It's the same thing. I just looked in there. I don't see anybody. So for those who are really active in the Recon Football, Fantasy Football League in the Messenger, come on over. Join us. Hang out. If you're as verbose as you are there, maybe we'll have more content. But
There's some savages in there.
bro, I try to hold my own. Sometimes I get a little carried away with myself, but I'm down for a good verbal sparring. I don't know why.
I just read.
Yeah, I noticed. I noticed that four people communicate and the other 6 just are idle. Yeah. They're just reading the nonsense going back and forth. So, James, you were talking in the break, and you had asked a question about the recruiting, and I wanted you to kind of ask that on air so that maybe somebody, whoever's watching, maybe not now, maybe in 10 years from now, will kind of get a better understanding of that question. So what were you asking me?
Yeah, so the letter of intent that you were talking about, I mean, obviously it's self-explanatory, their intent, but does that mean that you're, like, locked in, or is it just, like, like an unwritten rule? Once you sign the letter of intent, there's no looking back kind of.
Yeah, it's not like a legal binding contract, but it is a document where you are signing your intent to go participate at that university for pretty much 1 year, because after a year, you can enter the transfer portal and go to another university. Those are rules that have kind of changed as we move forward with collegiate football. It doesn't really apply to the Division II or III schools, but for the Division I schools, it does. And so if you're a player who, let's as an example, say you're playing at Kingsville, Texas A&M Kingsville, and you had a terrific year, and now Texas State wants you to come over and play, you can immediately go play. Depending on where you're at in your classification, at your current school, like let's say you're at Texas and it's your first year, but something happens along the way where you're not happy anymore and you want to leave, they're going to kind of review your profile and kind of see if you're eligible to go. And if you are, you can move forward. So when you sign your national letter of intent in high school, yeah, you're pretty much locked in. Now, last year, an incident did occur with the University of Texas and with Baylor University. 2 incidents happened where athletes signed their national letter of intent, and then they came to an agreement with the university, and the university allowed them to rescind their national letter of intent, and they went to a different university. Actually, one of the Baylor players came to Austin, came to Texas. The other player went to go to USC in California. So, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and just wrap up a few loose ends since that long. Big shout out to Demetrius Gardner-Holmes, the running back out of Connolly High School. He will be going to play football at the next level. And so I was really grateful for him. I kind of saw him come up as a sophomore last year. Big kid, solid player. So I'm grateful for him. I believe he's going to SAG-U. Don't ask me what the acronym is, but all I know, I think it's like Southwestern Assemblies of God University. I think that's what it is. I may have got that right on top of my head.
Sounds good.
Yeah, the next one is Trey Flores, the offensive lineman out of Georgetown. He's going to be staying home, and he'll be attending Southwestern University, so go Pirates. Another one, 2 players these are actually a few players who received preferred walk-on. So shout out to the receiver Josh Cameron out of Cedar Park going to Baylor. And we also have Hayden Bray going to Oklahoma, who is a 2-time state champion for the Westlake Chaparrals. He'll be going to Norman to get his Boomer Sooner on. And then Michael Taff and Zane Miners, the safety and Michael is probably more of an athlete. The dude is just a sick athlete. Like, he's just a guy, man. He's just a guy who can ball on any side of the ball, of line of scrimmage. And he was actually the defensive MVP back-to-back in the state title game for the Westlake Chaparrals. In addition to Zane Miners, who's a 2-time state champion. they'll both be going to the 40 acres here in Austin, Texas. So both of them staying home. Previously, Zane was committed to Columbia University. And then I also want to give a special shout out to the Lake Travis triplets, two who are going on to play football at the next level. Wesley Irwin, who will be attending, I believe, Air Force, and then Raleigh Irwin, who will be going to Columbia University. So big shout out to the Irwin triplets and the Irwin family. Grant, that's their father. Shout out to Grant, really good man. Instrumental in helping Recon grow for a few times. So just wanted to give that respect back out to them. And with that being said, I think a lot of times you get, kind of mixed up in the recruiting arena. Like, I didn't think it would take half the show tonight. I mean, really only took a 5-minute break, and we've been on the air for about 25 minutes. And so thank y'all very much for kind of putting up with that. I wouldn't say putting up with it, but more of allowing me to talk about that. That's something I'm pretty passionate about. It's just because it's about helping the young people, and that's something I like giving back to. And so we'll eventually get to more topics. There's going to be one hot topic we end the show with. I'll probably get more contribution from producer James, as we move forward. But we're going to go ahead and take another break here in about 30 seconds. James, before we go to break, what is the hottest show you're watching right now?
On
Bro, anything.
WandaVision.
Yo, so you got that Disney Plus money.
Disney Plus, yeah.
You got that Disney Plus money.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So tell me about that WandaVision. I kind of know a little bit about Marvel with Scarlet Witch and what's the other guy's name?
Vision.
Yeah. Dude, okay, you know the movie The Replacements?
Yes.
So remember the kicker? I'm wary.
Oh yeah.
He's like, that's him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And he's also in R.I.P. Heath Ledger. He's also in A Knight's Tale.
Oh.
Paul Bettany, I think that's his name. So yeah, he's Vision.
That's crazy, because I was wondering. I was like, where do they find this guy at? Because he just looks like a kind of like a Joe Schmo kind of guy.
Yeah, he's somebody who can definitely blend in, more of a method actor than a character actor.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really cool to kind of see that spinoff. I thought it was going to be a movie, but then now it's a TV show.
Yeah. Do you watch it?
I ain't got that Disney Plus money, man. I'm just going to be really honest with you. They wanted me to do the E's, the P's, and the N's. They wanted me to do I got the Plus, and they wanted me to do that, and I was just like,
It shouldn't. If you have the ESPN Plus, it shouldn't be too much more for the.
Yeah, but I don't watch it. That's the biggest thing is I don't have kids either, so that may be a contributing factor. But let's take a break and more about WandaVision. Why is it called WandaVision?
A lot of people say that it might be so it's about Wanda, Scarlet Witch, that's her name, Wanda, and then Vision, so it's about them too, WandaVision. But
I feel like a moron.
Once you start watching it, it might be a play on Wanda's vision. So tune in to find out.
And so we'll be back after these messages. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you in a minute. Welcome back, everybody, from that very necessary break so we can kind of get back on our timeline. Moving forward, James was talking about WandaVision, and I felt really moronic whenever I kind of didn't put those two together, that her name was Wanda and his name was Vision. Hence, I feel like an idiot. But it's par for the course, I guess. Maybe I'm working too much. Maybe you think that's what it is, James?
Yeah. Had a long night.
It's been a long day. Actually, it's been a long day. The Dallas Cowboys are semi in the news. Dak Prescott still hasn't got a contract. I think that for him, he probably won't get a contract if things go well for them in the draft. And by well, I mean if you all right over there, buddy? Are you sure about that? James is over here being producer extraordinaire. You're still on mute. You good?
Yes.
All right. So if they do well in the draft, and by that I mean they shore up that offensive line, and maybe the top elite quarterbacks don't get dealt out. Derek Carr, I'm not saying he's elite, but Derek Carr, Deshaun Watson, Carson Wentz, I don't think he would go to Dallas. But those higher end quarterbacks are going to be available. And if I was Dak, I don't think Dak gets the deal done with the Dallas Cowboys, even though the way you saw him leave the field. Did you see that injury when he had multiple breaks in his lower leg?
Oh yeah, I think everybody saw it.
And then, but when he got carted off, did you see kind of the look on his face and the crowd and how they reacted?
I think it's because by now people know what those kind of injuries mean. Most of the time, you're never the same.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it was their year this year. So
if it was going to happen, it would have been last. It would have been just 2020 season.
Yeah, and then I mean, just going forward, like fuck, you know what I mean? Like, how's he gonna be when he comes back? You know, all of that, and the whole contract situation.
I think the biggest benefit for Dak moving forward with the contract is that he's young. He's really strong. He recovered faster than a lot of people had anticipated him. He was just, I think, maybe 6 to 8 weeks ahead of schedule, and he had time. And I would be really curious. I'd like to know, and maybe somebody does know. If you do know, leave it in the comments. I want to know if he was in communication with Kellen Moore during his rehabilitation. Like, was he learning when, he was doing his rehab? Was he absorbing the playbook? Was he in the QB meeting rooms? Was he a part of the preparations for the week? That would have been really good information to know. Now, we did see him when he was on crutches at practice, but that could have been him being in the rehab room doing his rehab, and then when he's done with it, he's going to go watch practice. And so you would assume with your franchise tagged quarterback, hopefully your franchise quarterback, if the money's right, you would want him, right? You would want to be a part of those game plans.
Yeah, definitely.
You kind of think that would go hand in hand together. And so if that communication is getting back to Jerry Jones, that he's actively participating, he's contributing, as well as doing his rehabilitation, and Dak's always been a really stand-up guy in the community. And so I think the burden of proof, so to speak, is on Jerry Jones and the Cowboys. Stephen Jones and the Cowboys is, how do you not pay Dak? Like, what reasons are you going to find to not pay him? And if it's purely money, then you're fooling yourselves. And if you're going to do that, you're going to continue to live the middle of the road 8-8 lifestyle that you've been doing for 20 years.
And it is not going to go well with Dallas fans.
But I don't think Dallas fans give a shit. Why? They still go to the games during the pandemic.
True.
They were still buying Miller Lite. They were still buying jerseys. They were still paying that $100 parking at Dallas at Jerry World. And it's almost like a culture. If you're in Texas and you've been in Texas your whole life, most likely you're a Cowboys fan. And now Jerry kind of has to see the turmoil going on in Houston, he's like, man, I could go and get more fans right now with Houston just in the shitter. I mean, and I could really think he would think that. It's like, if I can sign Dak, great. If I have to franchise Dak, it's going to be what, $37 million? Okay. The cap's probably not going to go down when we get to the new year on the 17th of March. And so Dak, I think Dak has to just stand firm here. He's like, Dak, look, talk to Kirk Cousins. The dude made so much money the past 5 years, it's ridiculous. And I think Dak is a better quarterback than Kirk Cousins. Younger, has more to offer. But you look at that Cowboys team, and if they don't get better on the offensive line, if they don't get better in the secondary and the linebacker core, because those linebackers are not helpful in that defense, you have to go get the right personnel. And right now, with them picking at the 10th spot in the draft, a lot of people are saying, let's go get Patrick Surtain out of Alabama. I like the pick a lot, but I also like the offensive center, or I like the center out of Northwestern. And I think if you take the center out of Northwestern, you have Biotic, who you went and got in the 4th round last year. You get Williams out. You let Tyron Smith get fully healthy. Let L. Collins will come back. Now you have Smith. You have Biotic, the center from Northwestern. Then you have Martin, and you have L. Collins on the right. And Dak has to go talk to Zeke. Like, Zeke, I don't know what you need to be told, but you're getting paid $50 million. You got to go make your money. You have to perform better. And time will tell. I'm really hopeful that Dak gets a long-term contract. If they could structure it maybe how they did Mahomes, great. If not, it's just going to be more 8-8. I mean, and that's what I told my guys, shout out Chris and Zach, on our Recon show. I was like, look, with Dak Prescott, they're 8-8. With the redhead, they're 7-9. And that's what they ended up. I think they were 5-10, something like that. But they were so bad.
They almost
at the
made
tail
playoffs.
End. Yeah, that's because everybody was bad in that. Don't worry about it. There's no COVID here. Everybody's clean. We're 6 feet apart. I really hope for Dak's sake, because you think about that injury and you think about how gruesome it is, and then you have Alex Smith jump right into your brain, and you're like, what's going to happen if that was that? And he's like laid up, and fortunately for Alex Smith, the Redskins paid him. I mean, I don't know if Jerry Jones would have paid him. And you kind of have to ask yourself now, it's like, what if you get hurt again and you get franchise tag and you're done? In 2 years, you made $60 million. Granted, that's a great sum of money, but you're leaving $300 on the table.
You think Jerry has a heart?
You're asking me that question?
Yeah.
Ask Tony Romo, ask Jason Witten, and ask, what's his name? Coach Clapp, Garrett Wilson, or Garrett,
Jason Garrett.
Jason Garrett. Ask them if he has a heart.
True.
I think Jerry does have a heart, but Jerry knows that he wants production against good teams before he cuts the big check. Troy Aikman, Super Bowls, he cut a big check. Like, I remember when a $50 million contract for Aikman was like big news. I don't know if I remember it. I remember like it was yesterday. I was like, damn, $50 million. It's 1993. Huge money. But now we're talking about $500 million with Mahomes' contract. And then who knows what's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers' contract. Deshaun Watson may get a new deal wherever he goes. Stafford's going to get a bigger deal in L.A. And it's just going to go up. That's why it's like, Jerry, it makes sense to lock the deal now. Like, lock him up for $400 million over 8. I don't know if they'll do that. I mean, Jerry probably wants 8. Dak probably wants 4. $250 over 4. Get the job done.
You see, Jared Goff gave an interview about his whole trade situation and where it went wrong in LA. Did you see that?
Mm-mm.
He was talking about how I just kind of briefly read the headline, but he was talking about where it went wrong and that he didn't want to be somewhere that he said the feeling is mutual, basically. Kind of like, you didn't want me? Well, fuck it. I didn't want to be there.
Well, I mean, did he bring up the fact that he talked about trying to fornicate with his coach's girlfriend. I mean, I don't know if he talked about that part. makes a whole lot of sense for the head coach to want to get him out whenever you're talking about his lady. I'm just saying, we're gonna leave it right there. We're gonna take a break real quick, and when we come back, we'll talk about this. We'll talk about the big game, the SB 5-5, and maybe some other things, little secrets that information just dropped about a controversial company making trades. We're back. Welcome back, everybody, to the Paul Rodriguez Show. Shout out to James for making those graphics for the subscribe and notification on the break time. So if y'all see that there, go ahead and take some time to like and subscribe. It helps the channel. It helps us get the viewership to more people in your network. So we really want to be able to, cast a bigger net as we can. But what I'm doing right now is I'm looking up the cost of the Super Bowl commercials for 2021, and I really want to know if it's going to go up or down. So they're saying right now the cost of a Super Bowl commercial is $5.5 to $5.6 million. And I think that's about what it was last year, maybe about 5.2 or 5. So last year it's slowly increasing. They're trying to keep up with inflation. So shout out for them to be savvy business people. But the reason I'm bringing up the cost was because a controversial company named Robinhood has recently dropped the notification that they're going to pay for a commercial during the Super Bowl in the midst of this highly questionable business practices that they have going on. And so, James, I kind of wanted to get your input to kind of see what you thought about if that's a savvy move. Is this a PR move? What do you think this is about?
Well, they're on everyone's shit list right now, right? Like
It depends. I mean, if you made out like a bandit because they sold your stock when you didn't want them to, when you could have lost like tens of thousands, I mean, you're probably seeing you're probably okay with it. But if you lost a whole lot of money, you're probably not too fond of them right now.
So they took an advertisement for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that was released, or that was saw that on Twitter by NFL Updates, how Robinhood is going to go ahead and pay for a commercial spot during the biggest game of the year. And with the NFC Championship having over 40 million viewers, this one is probably going to be over 100. So we'll see. It's going to be a big spot, and maybe they're just trying to capture that wave. They're like, everybody hates us now. Let's just put our name out there even more. Maybe more people will jump on the bandwagon.
Play the heel.
Yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, it seems to make money for some people, doesn't it? I mean,
how can we call it Robin Hood, and you're robbing the hood?
Well, for a lot of times, I mean, if you look in this instance, for a little while, they were Robin Hood. They were taken from the rich and given to the poor for a little bit. Yeah. If you do think about it like that. But once the authorities who came in, the regulators came in, the federal regulators came in and shut it all down, they were like, oh, it's enough of this. We're not going to let poor people make any more money. We're going to shut this down now. So with that being said, Robinhood's going to take out that spot. Highly questionable, would you say, about that move? I would think so. You think so, James?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think so also. But I think they're just riding the PR wave. I'm sure they have enough money to hire PR, probably consultant. And they said, hey, if you have the money, spend it now. So, take it as a expense on your taxes. And
better be a good one.
I mean, what if it's just like how to use their app? It's just like the screen comes up and it's just, this is how you download Robinhood. This is how you make money with Robinhood.
What if they're like rubbing it in? Like what they
like
did?
How?
Like what they did. Like,
like we helped you make money or we sold your shares.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that could be a bit of a bummer for them. But Super Bowl 55, Tampa Bay and the Kansas City Chiefs. Who do you think is going to be the MVP of this game? Honestly, like in a real conversation.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say, all right, I don't want to go that far on a limb.
No, go
and say Gronk. Surprisingly, out of nowhere.
You think that's not going out on a limb?
I mean, looking at what he did against the Packers, he really didn't do much. I mean, he had like a crucial conversion down the stretch, but I mean, yeah, I think that would be something surprising. But I mean, if the Bucs win, I'd have to go with Tom Brady. I'd go with Brady or Mahomes.
Yeah, it's kind of like if whichever quarterback wins, is going to probably be that MVP, unless whoever has the ball last and they're driving down the field and it's a huge turnover, similar to Malcolm Butler a few years ago with the Patriots. Brady was the MVP, but Brady gave him the prize. I think that's how it went that time. I'm looking forward to it. It's Wednesday, February 3rd. We're a few days away. I really like Tyreek Hill to be the MVP of this game. I think he picks up right off where he left off in the game against Week 12 against the Buccaneers. But man, you kind of have to think about the scheduling. And for the Bucs, it's like another home game. And for Kansas City, they're going to treat it like Super Bowl week. There's going to be a ton of distractions. It's going to just be who can handle it best and who's been there before. And Kansas City, pretty much their roster hasn't changed. Their star players are going to remember how to do this from last year and what goes into it. They're the younger team. I think they're going to play a little more loose. I think that favors them, also being the defending champion. So I like KC as we get closer. There's no more COVID scares as of yet. Hopefully it doesn't happen. I know I said that one day and the next day news dropped. So hopefully Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we can all be safe, especially those in Tampa, because the media people are, especially in the Northeast, they haven't been able to fly in because the weather, the snow has just been, tumultuous. And so for them coming in, I think they'll probably be arriving Friday. More people, more potential for exposure. So you kind of just hope everybody just stays away. No media row this year. So hopefully kind of things get a little bit more intact. But what are you looking forward to most about the Super Bowl? Do you have like a tradition? How do you usually get down for the Super Bowl?
I usually go to my cousin's house.
Okay.
And check it out. But I was reading today on Twitter that Fauci obviously isn't approving of Super Bowl parties.
Yeah. He hasn't approved of much of anything.
Yeah. I think we're just gonna stay home. I'm definitely gonna cook it up.
You gonna make some food?
Yeah. Watch the game with the kids. Yeah.
Right on. I think that's something how we do. Like I stay in my circle, and I just, man, to me it's like another holiday. I don't know if a lot of people may not know this about me, but like for my work, we get a little bit of time off, and for my PTO, I usually take my holiday time during the national championship for the college football, and then for the Super Bowl. So like, usually I take 2 days, Monday, Tuesday, and then for the Super Bowl, Monday, Tuesday. So I'll probably be off those next 2 days afterwards. We'll be here to recap the Super Bowl Monday on the 8th of February. But I'm looking forward to it. Each day gets closer. It's a little bit more real. And I think on Thursday and Friday, especially tomorrow and Friday, it's going to be probably just wall-to-wall Super Bowl, talking about maybe prop bets, talking more about who's going to be that key player that makes the big difference in the football game. And then we'll see if the prop bets for like heads or tails or the national anthem, we'll see who it's going to go long or go short. What do you think?
How did those work out?
It's kind of like Vegas will put a number on it, like a time. And if you're going to see the number, let's say it's 4 minutes for the national anthem, you're going to say over under. So if it goes long and you pick the over, you win.
Who's singing it?
Eric Church and another artist. I can't think off the top of my head. But it's gonna be two people. So usually if two people are gonna sing, probably gonna run long. If I had to just take a guess off the top of my head. James, what are you gonna let the people know for Wednesday? What's the recap?
Recap. I really don't got much. Just we're doing this weekend, Dark Side.
Nice.
We got a Pops and Shots podcast coming on the show.
Word.
You can check us out live on YouTube, Dark Side of the Mic, or on Facebook, Dark Side of the Mic.
Mm-hmm.
And we got the Bomb Beyond Insanity, like I mentioned the other day.
Is that hot sauce?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna have to turn me on to that.
Yeah.
Would y'all let me know this now? Would you like to see me? What's this sauce called?
Yeah, I would like to see the Bomb Beyond.
Yeah, I'm sure you would.
The Bomb Beyond Insanity.
The Bomb Beyond Insanity. So like, how are you eating that? Is that like on a taco? Is that in chips and dip?
I'm gonna get some wings from this place here in town.
So
Shout out
wings.
Little Charlie's. Yeah.
So wings.
And,
Hashtag no ad.
Yeah.
You can cut a check then.
And yeah, we're just I'm gonna put a dab on it. I'm not gonna soak it. And yeah, we're gonna see how it goes.
And you're eating it?
Yeah, I'm gonna eat it along with some other guys.
Nice.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is our show for February 3rd. Before we go, real quick, besides WandaVision, What show are you watching outside of Disney?
I don't really watch a whole lot of TV or streaming or anything.
Really?
Yeah.
Music?
Play video games.
All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen. James is too talkative at the end of the show. I think he's ready to get out of here. But thank y'all again. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy the show. Share it with your friends. We'll be back tomorrow.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Where'd you get that Southwest Texas
This this question tells me James didn't watch much of the show yesterday, but this cap was actually purchased at the stadium with me and my dad, Papa Romeo. Shout out. It was probably early in the season. The boosters, the Texas State Bobcat Club, the T Association. That's who it was. They were selling these hats outside of the donor area, and I'm trying not to be bougie. The donor area. Anyway, they I saw the yellow one because I saw some other people having. I'm like, dude, that's a hat. I like it. And so I went to the girl, and they were like, oh, I think we're out. And I'm like, what can you do for your boy now? You know, what can I do for the alumni? It's from my pops, like, you know, class of 12 over here. My dad, 83. And so she was like, well, I'm going to go look in the back. And so she went to this other room, and she came back, and she had one. And so, yeah, they were selling them there. It's kind of a little exclusive item.
Nice.
So this is his hat. It can't go anywhere. But for all those people who were alumni before 2003, they recognize that hat.
Nice.
All right, folks, that's the show. We'll see you mañanas. Everybody be safe. We're on.